JSB Talks Digital.
Hello and welcome to JSB Talks Digital, the podcast for marketers, digital transformation champions, and those of you bringing your skills into the digital age. I'm Joanne Sweeney-Burke, and this podcast is brought to you by Digital Training Institute. In this episode, number 117, I'm discussing the age of assistance and why customer centricity will help you in the digital battleground. In social media news, social media platforms will be forced to take terrorist content off their sites within an hour or face fines under new EU proposals. LinkedIn is cracking down on fake profiles, and YouTube to launch vertical video ads. I interviewed Daniel Solomons, founder of Byte Behaviour and former head of the Google Digital Academy, about his theory of the Alexicist and why marketing needs humans more than ever before. In shoutouts, 3 ways to delight your audiences with assistive marketing, and I take a look at who's doing it well. Ask JSB, in JSB's column, Marketing Magic. Assistance is the way to a customer's heart, mind, and dollars. And find out what assistive tool saved my working week.
Social media news.
Social media platforms will be forced to take terrorist content off their sites within an hour or face fines under new EU proposals. The European Commission is proposing legislation to ensure all member states bring in sanctions against those who repeatedly fail to respond to the new removal orders within an hour of them being issued. Platforms that don't comply face penalties of up to 4% of their global revenue. The Commission believes the legislation will come into statute across the EU in 2019. Speaking to The Guardian, Julian King, the British Security Commissioner in Brussels, said, "Every attack over the last 18 months or 2 years has had an online dimension, either inciting or in some cases instructing, providing instruction or glorifying." LinkedIn is following in the social media footsteps of Facebook and Twitter by cracking down on fake profiles. The problem is so bad, according to LinkedIn, their processes recently blocked 5 million suspicious accounts from being created within a single day. Writing in a blog post, the company announced they've detected major issues with automated fake accounts. Fake profiles are set up for a number of reasons, including scraping information and data, spamming, fraud, or phishing. LinkedIn says one of the ways we maintain a safe and trusted professional community on LinkedIn is by requiring that every LinkedIn profile must uniquely represent a real person. One of the ways we ensure that accounts are real is by building automated fake account detection systems at scale. Their systems allow them to protect their members from bad activity by bad actors. YouTube is going vertical, well, for its ads at least. Jumping on the back of vertical trends from Snapchat and Instagram, YouTube is the third social network to introduce immersive full-screen video. The move comes as video on mobile continues to outgrow desktop. The company says over 70% of YouTube watch time happens on mobile devices. A spokesperson said, "Vertical video ads provide a big, beautiful canvas to deliver your message on mobile and allow engagement with your customers in a way that fits their viewing preferences." When it comes to vertical videos, YouTube advises advertisers to avoid core messaging in the top 10% and bottom 25% of the video. Those are the areas most frequently cropped. According to industry sources, Hyundai is the first brand to try this format, and when combined with traditional horizontal formats, it can yield up to a 33% uplift in brand awareness and a 12% uplift in purchase consideration.
Interview.
In this episode, I interview Daniel Solomons, founder of Byte Behaviour and former head of the Google Digital Academy. Byte Behaviour is a corporate training company whose mission is to help people and organisations learn to adapt and thrive in a disruptive, ever-changing digital world. Daniel says education is core to all transformation and key to driving the long-term behaviour change needed to succeed in a volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous business landscape. Whilst working at Google, Daniel developed an interest and passion for the cultural, behavioural and organisational aspects of digital transformation, and he set up Byte Behaviour to focus on helping companies thrive in the digital age, especially at C-level and senior executive level. In this interview, we discuss a recent article he penned entitled The Alexicist, which discusses the role of humans in marketing in a technological disruptive age. Daniel and I were delivering a mobile masterclass for Google's Digital Academy, but took some time out afterwards to have a chat.
JSB Talks Digital.
Daniel Solomons, you are the founder of Byte Behaviour. We're here in Google actually delivering their mobile masterclass, and you are a former Googler. I read with interest an article that you wrote for Impact International on the Alexicist. What's the concept of that article in the first place?
Oh, thank you for asking. Yeah, it all started with an article I read that Alexa had been programmed to give laughter, and it was laughing at random times of the day, and it was a bit spooky, and it put to mind this idea of the Internet of Things taking over your connected home in a kind of a rubbish horror film, a bit like the Poltergeist. So I decided, in a more serious idea, actually that we need to separate out the roles for humans from the whole roles for the machines. So I thought this horror film could be called The Alexicist, and this whole idea would be about making sure that the humans aren't possessed by the machine world. I mean, there is a proper thought behind this, and it's what I call technological determinism. So I don't know if you've read lots of sci-fi books where people like Asimov would say this is what the future's going to look like. There will be automatons, robots, humans, and what do they call them, cyborgs, who will take over the world, and you won't be able to tell their role from the human role, and you end up in this world where you have the Terminator coming in and trying to destroy humanity, or HAL trying to wipe out the crew of the ship, or Rutger Hauer being a robot and Harrison Ford trying to work out whether they're real or not, or if they're replicants. And all of these things are because we've created robots in our image, or machines in our image. To me, that leads to this technological determinism where the robots are going to take over, the machines are going to take over and wipe us all out. So why the hell would we do that? So that's where the thought came from. On a more realistic level, though, it's a big fear for people. The machines taking over their jobs, taking over their lives, and from the age of industrialization, from the turn of the Industrial Revolution, this has always been an issue. It's always been saboteurs saying we've got to break the machines before they ruin our jobs. Truth is, it never has been the case. There have always been new jobs for humans alongside the new industrial machinery that's taken over. And I think that will always be the case. But it requires businesses to understand what is the job for the humans, what are the job for the machines, what are jobs for the boys, jobs for the droids type of thing. So that's where this idea came from.
So we live in the age of assistance where we actually expect brands, businesses and technology to help us get what we want faster and more seamlessly. Is there a bit of a juxtaposition then when we have like smart devices like Alexa and that feeling that they're taking over? I mean, do we want too much from technology but then don't want technology to have so much control?
There is a bit of that. I think actually what it is not quite knowing what to ask of technology and what humans should be doing. So if you look at machine learning, which is the area of AI which is really taking off at the moment, machine learning is based on pattern recognition. Machines are great at recognizing patterns that humans don't quite understand why we recognize them. We'll call it intuition until we teach a machine to do it, and then we go, oh, well, it's clearly not really real intelligence. Or we will not be able to work out the patterns ourselves. So in something like marketing, understanding which type of person will come onto our website and convert, we haven't codified that, but there is a pattern to it, and the machine can work out that pattern much more than us. So if we allow machines to do pattern recognition tasks, mundane rote tasks that are quite dull to do, it will free up human capital, human resource to do more interesting things. And that could be more strategic thinking, it could be more fulfilling work with less slave driving behind it, or it could be something even nicer, like thinking, actually, how can this company think about how it helps society or helps its community and helps the whole world thrive. It would be ironic, actually it would be a very human thing for humans to invent robots that get rid of all the hard work for ourselves and then kills us. So yeah, we shouldn't be doing that. We should be understanding how we get robots to do the hard work, whether it's mechanical work or machine thinking, so that we free up our own time to have more leisure, more money, more spare time, and more fulfilled jobs.
Which is ultimately the holy grail, right? That's what we all want.
Absolutely. And I think at the heart of it, there are three human teams that businesses should be thinking about, and how do machines serve them. So at the heart of all businesses are customers. So how do we use machines and robots to service our customers better? How do we give them what they want when they want it? How do we understand that? How do we, again on marketing terms, serve ad campaigns which hit the right people at the right time with the right message in an automated way that doesn't require some bloke to have to, or girl to have to sit at a spreadsheet for hours and hours and hours trying to work it out. It surprises and delights our customers. The second group of humans are the people doing the work. So I think companies need to be not employee-centric, but employee-aware, and they should be making great work environments for their employees, not scaring them off, not laying them off, but finding the jobs that work alongside the machines, and using machines to make the workplace a more enjoyable workplace and give their employees more fulfilled lives. And if we have done that, we've got happy customers who are spending lots, we've got happy workers who don't have to work quite as hard on mundane tasks but can focus on the good tasks, then that leaves some surplus in terms of money and resource to think about the third group of humans, which, as I said earlier, is the community in which we exist. And that could be, you could think of that as the planet, you could think of that as society, or you could just think of that as your local high street or your local schools or those kind of things. But I think that's where companies have an ability to stay human-centric in a machine-led world.
So you do a lot of work on digital transformation with a key focus on culture. Do you think that culture plays a large role in whether organisations iterate and transform to leverage and to bring technology in? I mean, can a senior leader at the top of an organisation paralyse progress among his or her people because of their mindset?
Yes and no. So culture, I have a friend called Steve Chapman who gets very upset about the thingification of culture, he calls it. Culture is not a thing. It is the outcome of a set of behaviours and attitudes and how people behave towards each other. And yes, therefore, you need the right behaviours, the right attitudes to enable the companies to pivot and switch and to evolve in the digital world so that they then survive. Often there are a lot of people, especially at the top of a company, who have legacy ways of thinking and legacy processes and structures in place, which is in their own interests to keep as they are, but aren't very good for the rest of the company, the consumers, or, as I said, society at large. So if the culture is top down and led by those people, then it's a culture problem. If it's just one person, actually the culture is something that could be thriving, could be around, but it's just one person's behaviour that blocks that.
So let's talk about marketers, and we're marketers, right? And we're always learning and we don't know everything. Where do you think that the biggest knowledge gap right now exists within our industry? Because we're positioned to help public and private sector, become relevant and to remain relevant, and as you said, remain there in business as technology evolves.
Knowledge gap. There are many knowledge gaps and there's many skills gaps, and I think at the top, having an understanding of how things need to evolve. So that's the CMOs talking to their other C-level partners. That's where there is a knowledge gap. So what the marketing teams know now is often much more cutting edge than other departments, and I do feel it's incumbent upon marketers to spread that knowledge about how their customers are changing, how data can be used to improve mainly customer engagement processes, because that sits with marketing, but that then has changes on policy, on finance, on team, on HR, and potentially things like procurement and all other areas. And I think marketing is in a blessed position to share that knowledge, and that's something that potentially isn't happening at a higher level. At a lower level, as in the people who are actually doing the work day to day and working with clients, trying to engage customers at the end of the day, I think their knowledge level needs to focus on customer centricity. It needs to understand how customers are changing, how they are changing the way they interact with the world because of technology. And that can be a massive disruptor for companies, but also how technology is enabling companies to engage those customers better, to understand those customers better and service them. So technology is both a disruptor and an enabler. Both ways it's a game changer. This is still technological evolution, and people need to evolve with technology. But the risk of being disrupted is because you've allowed your customers or customer behaviour to get outside of your area, so you haven't kept up with their behaviour, or you haven't kept up the technology that's going to surprise and delight your customers too. So on the day-to-day level, customer centricity, understanding their habits, what they're doing and how to service them better and how technology helps that is number one. At a more senior level, the CMO needs to take that understanding and say, well, actually, if we are going to be truly customer centric, we probably need to change the way we act, our processes, our structures, and potentially that will have a change on culture as well, so they can change.
So we started this conversation talking about the Alexa Assist and how you don't want technology to overtake human potential. So let's end it on that too. Where do you think, actually I was listening to Matt Lawson, who's Google's head of performance this week, and he talked about that the human aspect needs to come back into marketing more than ever before. And that's probably something very reassuring, which is the tenet of your article, but reassuring for marketers, businesses, but also the general public too, because they don't want people like us to pull the wool over their eyes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are a lot of decisions that humans make that are nuanced. They're based on sometimes intuition, which could be a load of patterns that a machine could replicate, but sometimes they're a decision that has to be made where it's not binary, it's not obviously one is right, one is wrong. You have to make a decision based on your experience, your instinct, and what you think is right, and often a machine can't do that. For example, a political decision or creative decision. It's very hard to codify why those things are right. Even if machines do get to the point where they can make those kind of nuanced decisions, where there is not a definite right or wrong answer, you still need a human to check the input and check the output. You still need the human to work alongside the machine to manage the process. Actually, yeah, it shouldn't be our machine overlords, it should still be the human overlords after a machine. Machines should not be human. To try and create machines in the human form is kind of Prometheus, it's kind of playing God. And I recommend we don't. I recommend we create machines that are fit for purpose, fit for task, so the humans can then manage them to do the task properly using our knowledge and our specific understanding of the world.
Daniel, thank you so much for joining me on JSB Talks Digital. I guess we have another day to see through in Google's mobile masterclass, and I do recommend that you do a follow-up of this article in 12 months' time just to see where technology and humans are playing and which side of the field then.
Thank you, Joanna. Thank you for inviting me to speak on your podcast. And we're going to keep developing those ideas. It's a long way to go still.
Shoutouts.
In this part of the show, I give shout-outs to brands, organisations or individuals whose work online is remarkable and worth talking about. In this episode, I'm sharing 3 technologies that are shaping the age of assistance. I'm also looking at 3 organisations leveraging those technologies to be more assistive to their customers. We are at an amazing time in the history of business and technology. Last year, Google shared that we are only 1% of the way to how technology will transform our lives and our businesses. In their opinion, of course. But as the trailblazers in technology and the masters of observing consumer behaviour, they are very well placed to be making assertions as big as that one. These 3 technologies will continue to disrupt businesses and brands as we know them today, so we should get familiar with them.
1.
Consumers now expect a highly personalised mobile experience, and mobile continues to dominate. Extra Space Storage is the US's second largest operator of self-storage. The company believes that everyone is a potential customer and that the most valuable ones are increasingly on their mobile devices. In response to the on-the-go nature of its customers, the company focused on developing a great mobile experience. Extra Space Storage started by exploring who its customers are and then analysed how they interact with its mobile website. Just 5 years ago, the company allocated the majority of its marketing budget to print, running ads in printed directories. But today it's a different story. 35% of its total budget goes to mobile, an increase from single digits in just 18 months. To better understand the nature of its varied customers, the company looked to data, gathering background information from a variety of sources, including US Census, Google AdWords, and more. The company developed different customer profiles, ultimately recognizing what drives specific customers to make a purchase. Using real-time data, the site was built to intuitively respond to particular types of customers, featuring different actions for different individuals. For a fast and logical customer, for example, the call now action is made more prominent, whereas for a slow and emotional customer, the pop-up chat box appears sooner. The results of this strategy speak for themselves. The company had a 24% increase in total mobile conversions, a 53% increase in conversions from mobile phone calls, and a 33% growth of paid search conversions from mobile.
2.
Augmented reality is all about the experience. AR is the integration of digital information with the user's environment in real time. AR is used particularly well by retailers to improve the shopping experience. Cherish is a San Francisco-based online curated marketplace for vintage furniture and decor. By running a design challenge on Instagram, they used their app's Try Before You Buy augmented reality feature to help make buying a lot easier and interactive. Co-founder Anna Brockway said, "We invite our 130,000 design-loving followers to create a space using items from our 250,000 inventory of world-class vintage and antique furniture, decor and art. We provide a blank space, living rooms, entryways and dining rooms, and in just a few swipes, our followers become interior designers by taking a screenshot of the blank space and dropping in their favourite chic and unique Cherish items."
3.
Did you know that 20% of mobile queries in the Google app are voice? Voice is becoming the norm. The Google Assistant is a virtual assistant powered by artificial intelligence that is primarily available on mobile and smart home devices. Flash briefings on the Amazon Alexa-powered speaker are audio recordings of up to 10 minutes. Saying, "Alexa, what's in the news?" or "Alexa, play my flash briefing" are just two of the many ways you can invoke the flash briefing. I'm currently setting up one for JSB Talks Digital as promos for people to tune into the full podcast. However, 1-minute briefings are the most listened to.
Ask JSB.
In this week's Ask JSB, Vicky wants to know how you can be more assistive to your customers' needs on a low-cost budget. That's a great question, Vicky, and you're right, you don't need fancy technology to be responsive to what your audience need right now. Let me give you some tips. First of all, I would say look at the data available to you on your own channels. Have a look inside Google Analytics and review what parts of your websites and particular landing pages that your audiences are going to most. Compare this against search keywords in relation to the topics that you're discussing. Remember, you need to make sure that you are answering the questions that your consumers are asking in Google search. Having really great content that has loads of multimedia will help you respond to their needs. Another tip that I can give you is actually going live on social and actually engaging with your customers. All of the social networks allow you to go live, so make the most of that opportunity. People love to ask questions and they love to get answers for absolutely free, just like this section on the podcast. And finally, I would say test your content, whether it's social ads, whether it's PPC, or whether it's a landing page. Make sure you do A/B testing to find out which pieces of content get most interaction. Then you can scale up and invest your budget accordingly. If you have a digital marketing or social media question, don't forget you will have it answered on the show. Simply use the hashtag AskJSB on Twitter or Instagram. You can also leave me a voicemail with your question at digitaltraininginstitute.ie/AskJSB.
JSB's column.
In today's JSB's column, I discuss marketing magic, why assistance on mobile is the way to a customer's heart, mind, and dollars. To truly offer effective mobile marketing content, you have to have an accurate idea of what's going through the minds of your target consumers. So you need to understand their behaviour. This doesn't just mean the latest trends, buying factors, and seasonal impacts. It also means being able to account for consumers' predictable behaviour patterns. When it comes to mobile marketing, that means two key areas: making the buyer's journey convenient and accounting for consumers with multiple devices. So, ask yourself, can consumers go through the buyer's journey from start to finish on a mobile device? Are you allowing that process in your customer journey? The buyer's journey is a useful organisational tool for thinking about how prospective customers go from consumers with a specific problem to buyers finalising their purchases. The framework isn't just for mobile marketing. It should affect all of your marketing decisions, from inbound marketing to how you interact with recurring customers. The three main steps in the buyer's journey are: 1. The awareness stage. Consumers know they have a problem, but they might not know what the precise problem is or how to start solving it. 2. The consideration stage. Consumers now know more about their problem and potential solutions. At this point, they're researching specific vendors, comparing products, and looking for the best solution. And 3. The decision stage. Consumers have a final list of options to select the right product or service. Then they make the purchase. If your company is a trustworthy content provider during each of these stages, you are more likely to have a prominent place in the consumer's list when they reach the decision stage. If you can help consumers spend as little time as possible in the buyer's journey, your company is even more valuable. The best way to help consumers from start to finish is to make sure they can go through all 3 stages on your mobile site. More and more people are turning to search engines to solve immediate problems. Whether they have a broken washing machine, a virus on their computer, or want inspiration for dinner, they're going to look for the answers on their phones. So, we must provide awareness content, as well as articles and videos that offer assistance and simply just don't sell. Make sure your consumers can easily engage with your content or your product information with as few clicks or taps as possible. If you serve them well in the earlier stages of the funnel, they will reward you with sales and loyalty. If you want to discuss your digital marketing strategy or customer funnel, then get in touch. Drop me an email to joanne@digitaltraining.ie.
Social media tool of the week.
The social media tool that saved my working week this week is Google Home. Google Home is a brand of smart speaker developed by Google. It allows users to give voice commands, to interact with services through the Google Assistant, and also allows two-way conversations. We used Google Home throughout our mobile masterclass at Google's Digital Academy last week to play music during breaks, but also to illustrate how the Assistant can be used. Thank you so much for tuning into episode number 117 of JSB Talks Digital. Don't forget you can find everything discussed on today's show on my award-winning blog at digitaltraining.ie. My blog has now reached the shortlist of the 2018 Blog Awards. Digital Training Institute entered in 2 categories, Best B2B Blog and Best Marketing and Communications Blog. So hopefully we will be finalists when it's announced in a few weeks. Don't forget we're also now on Google Podcasts, reaching even more Android users. If you're a regular listener, I'd love you to subscribe, but also to leave a review. If you're a public sector marketing professional, I've recently launched a podcast especially for you. It comes out on the 1st of each Monday on all my podcast platforms. You'll also find it at publicsectormarketingpros.com. Thanks for continuing to listen, but don't forget you can get in touch between now and the next show on social media. You can tweet me to a Tweets by JSB, post a comment on our Facebook page, Digital Training Institute. You can send me a snap to JSB Snaps or get in touch on Instagram to JSB Grams. I'm Joanne Sweeney Burke. This is JSB Talks Digital. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.
JSB Talks Digital.